Good morning. How is everyone this morning? We are an energetic crowd, aren't we? I'm going to invite everyone to find your way to a place, and you can remain standing because we're going to start off by singing. As we do, I have to. Our regular sound guy, Aiden, is with Carrymon. They are in Los Angeles this weekend because Tyler, Aiden's father, Carrymon's husband, is graduating from with his master's degree in creative writing this weekend. So they're there to celebrate that. So it's us, and I have worked out ways to not have somebody there today. But let's start off with "I Know the Truth About You." I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. I see you dripping with abundance and ease. I see you enjoying the life you please. Playful at work and creative at play. I see you in gratitude for every day. And I say, I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. I know the dreams of your heart want to fly. It's time to spread your wings and give it a try. The love you give, you know you're bound to receive. Your good can only grow the more you believe. Come on now, I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Your biggest self can't be denied. You've got no place to hide because I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the power within you. I know that love surrounds you. Everything is all right. I know the truth about you. I see the light within you. Just let it shine on brightly. Everything is all right. All right. So good morning, and welcome to Tucson New Thought. So grateful to have you here with us in this blessed community this morning. We are a spiritual community that comes together each and every Sunday for one singular purpose. We come here for one thing and one thing only. What is that? We come here to love, yes. Snacks. Yeah, some people do come for the snacks. That's their one and only reason for showing up. No, we come here to understand and know that there's a singular truth, and that is that right where we are, love is. Right where we are, this divine creative power, this divine infinite energy of creation is right where we are, right at the root of who we are. That's what we celebrate here at Tucson New Thought, and I'm so grateful that you have decided to be here this morning. We are here to create a world that works for everyone. That is our vision here, and we do this by providing practical tools for personal transformation, thereby awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And anyone and everyone at any point of their spiritual path is welcome. A couple weeks ago, I said that connection is ultimately why we come to places like this. We are here for community and connection, right? And the truth is, I think that's why we're here on this plane of existence, not just here on a Sunday morning, but we are here to connect and to know something deeper about each and every person we encounter, to make those loving connections, those connections in kindness, and trust and know that it all flows beautifully. Here's what I know about you, and I know that you all know because I tell you every single week, right? I know that you are magnificent, each and every one of you. And I would like for each and every one of us to step up and claim for ourselves, I am magnificent. Let's say that together. I am magnificent. That's the truth. So let's go ahead and greet our friends and neighbors, let them know their magnificence in our own unique, individualized way. And I do want everyone online to know that I see you. I'm grateful for your presence right here virtually and know that, we feel your energy in this room. I know that you are magnificent, and I'm so grateful that you are here with us today. So as we take our seats, let's allow ourselves to take that deep reflective pause into the understanding that as we are, each and every one of us, born of that one golden thread of love, that energy of creation, so are all faith traditions, all spiritual traditions and religions. And one thing that I really love to do each week is do the ceremony called Lighting the Flames of Faith, whereby we really go to that place of deep understanding that all these traditions are rooted in the same source, and that is love. And so we light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the divine will of love as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them and for all faith traditions unnamed in this ceremony. This final candle we light is a candle to represent the healing of any circumstance that requires divinity to be revealed, for that is the true definition of healing, the revealing of divinity. This is your candle for whatever is in your mind that requires the light, right here and right now.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all who feel imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all who feel imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Thank you, Anita. We always get to this point on Sunday where we finished the round, the circle round song, or whatever song we're doing in that particular month. And there's always this pause, and I always feel like it's an anticipatory pause, like, oh, what's going to happen now? Here's what's going to happen now. If you would please provide for me a number between 25 and 423. 323. I'm going to turn to that page in this big book called The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. You said 323. Almost there, almost there. 21. 1 or 2? 2. There is one infinite mind from which all things come. This mind is through, in, and around man and woman. How about all people? It is the only mind there is, and every time a person thinks, they use it. I'm changing the pronouns on the fly. Every time a person thinks, they use it. There is one infinite spirit, and every time a person says, I am, they proclaim it. I cannot tell you again how perfect this is. So perfect. There is one infinite mind from which all things come. So this is how I start every single week. I say, we come here to know one thing, that the expression of the universe is this creative power of love. Now, some people are going to use God, and I'm going to give you a fair warning. You're going to hear the word God a lot today. I had somebody who visited last week, came to our service, and at the end we were having discussion following the celebration, and at the end he says, you know what, I am so grateful that you did not use the word God. And I said, but I did. I said, you are God. I am God. We are God. We are that expression. We are that energy. We are this impression and expression of love. That's what God is. So this is basically what we're saying. There is one infinite mind from which all things come. This one mind is the creative source. This mind is love in action. This mind is through, in, and around all people. It is through, in, and around all people. There's absolutely no separation. This is who and what we are. Now, when this book was written, and I should say this particular version rewritten, there was still a separating language that was utilized. And I have said in the past that Ernest Holmes, the founder of this particular branch of the New Thought philosophy, got to a point where he says, we need to understand our unity, our oneness even more deeply. That the relative, that is the physical stuff, who and what we are, and the circumstances and the experiences that we live, those things are the absolute. Those things are the divine. Those things are the expression of love. Those things are God. at the level of our expression and understanding of them. So our job through this thing called life is to expand our understanding of this more and more and more, which is why I have chosen to be a center for spiritual evolution, because that implies a forward momentum, something that is growing within each and every one of us. Not that there's anything to be expanded upon except our awareness, because we are the infinite. That is who and what we are. It is the only mind there is, and every time a person thinks, they use it. There is one mind, one universal mind. The concept of mind is kind of an ethereal concept. Like, what is mind? If I were to ask you, what is mind, how would you describe it? How would you define it? And this I'm actually going to ask. How do you define mind? The thing that thinks. All right. So, do you have a mind? He may doubt that you have a mind. Trust me, my husband doubts that I have a mind sometimes too. The thing that thinks. But what is it that's doing the thinking? That's the big question. The greater I am that I am. That's how I choose to understand it. Because it is ultimately a question that has no answer, really. But we make decisions and we allow our lives to move forward based on those decisions. So my decision, and I think the reason that many of you are here is because you may live under a similar decision to live the infinite I am that I am. Let that be the point of view from which we know all activity of mind arises within each and every one of us, and then that's how our lives show up. Does that make sense? Very, very heady, right? I'm like, does that make sense? Everybody's going, no. That's why you come to these centers, so that you can take a kernel and move forward into deepening every single week. That's what really the power of New Thought was for me, to help me recognize that kernel of truth within myself and live it at all times. So there is one infinite mind from which all things come. We utilize that mind and call it our own. So what you call your mind is your use of the infinite mind. And we all are connected as that infinite mind, in form, in action, and in spirit. Which does open us up to perfection, the expression and experience of perfection. And I think the minute we start assuming and deciding that everything in our lives, every aspect of our lives is already perfect, whether we call it perfect or not, life's going to get easier. So that's one way we can take action in love, which is our theme for the month. Taking action in love is that we can make a decision to move forward from a particular point of view and see what happens. You know, we're in religious scientists. This is a religious science community, and I say that we are scientists, constantly experimenting in this thing called life. And if you find something that works, go for it. And if you find something that works, release it. Because what works for me may not work for you, and that's okay. I'd love for us to take a look at the cover of our handout. I know that we were very short on handouts today, so if you would like to share, you are welcome to share. It's very simple. We're going to read the affirmation together. I'll read it one time, and then we can all state it out loud together. The affirmation for this month is, every single action in my life is rooted in love, no matter what. So it's on the cover graphic of your handout. Let's say that together. Every single action in my life is rooted in love, no matter what. Let's say that one more time. Every single action in my life is rooted in love, no matter what. The song today, thank you. The song today is one of my favorites by my friend Faith Rivera. Do you know Faith Rivera, her work? Yeah. Yeah. So if you know Faith Rivera, I guarantee you're going to recognize this song. Where I am, God is where I stand. God is standing strong where I breathe. God is breathing life in and out and through me as me. Where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing free in and out and through me as me. For where I doubt, God is the faith in me. And where I cry, God is the comfort there. Where I seek, God is the answer. Here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. Where I work, love is my career. Where I play, life is playing boldly in and out and through me as me. Oh, where I am, where I stand, where I play, where I work and breathe and move and be, where I sing, where I dance my dance, wherever I go, where I pray and take and give and live. God is. God is. God is. God is. Thank you. I love the bridge of this song. All the verses of the song are basically speaking an affirmation. Where I am, God is. Where I stand, God is. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. Where I sing, God is. Where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, beauty is flowing free in and out and through me as me. Those are the verses. The bridge has a little bit of a turn. And I think it's a turn that we can all relate to. Where I doubt, where I cry, where I seek. Has anyone ever had any doubt in their lives? I doubt it. Has anyone ever cried? Trust me, you can catch me on a Sunday and I'll cry. Like in the right circumstances, I cry. Where I seek. In those places too, God is. God is expressing as us. And sometimes I think we separate ourselves from that very notion that God is present even in the hurt. God is present even in the challenges of life. God is always present because God can never be not present because we are God. We're always with ourselves, right? Where I speak, truth is. Where I work, love is my career. Where I play, life is playing boldly. Where I am, where I stand, where I play, where I work and breathe and move and be, where I sing, where I dance my dance. Wherever I go, that's where God is, no matter what. God is not a thing that you find in a space like this, although it is fully present here because it is fully present everywhere. But God is everywhere you go, even when you're driving down Speedway Boulevard and somebody cuts you off. God is in that. It can be hard to recognize sometimes, but this is the reminder. This is why, again, we come here on a Sunday, is to be reminded of this truth, that no matter what, love is always at the core of everything we do, everything we think, everything we say, everything we experience. Love and God being synonyms for one another. I listen to podcasts. I love podcasts. I'm first of all, I've subscribed to more podcasts than I could ever listen to in an entire lifetime. I have more podcast recordings than and I pick and choose every week. There's one in particular that I absolutely love, and those who know me will probably think, oh, he's going to talk about the West Wing Weekly. That is not the podcast that I'm going to talk about today, although I do love that podcast. The podcast I want to talk about today is called The Illusionist. The Illusionist. It's a podcast about language. I love language. I really love language. And one of the things that came up recently on one of the podcast recordings was actually their 100th episode. The host, Helen Zaltzman, talked about the concept of language and then the purpose and use of dictionaries. Dictionaries, she reminds us, are not meant to be prescriptive. That is, the dictionary is not the rule book. The dictionary is not the place that we go to learn how words are used. The dictionary is descriptive. It is basically saying, here is how a word is currently being used given the context of this time and place. So it can be somewhat prescriptive if we don't know a word. But I think if we truly understand that, going to that place of understanding that it is really descriptive of a particular time and place, then we get a lot more benefit out of utilizing the dictionary. A great example of this is this word, and I hope on some level you laugh, because I used to be a bit of one of those grammar police people, and it would drive me out of my mind when people would use this word in a way that I had thought it was not meant to be used, and the word is literally. The definition of literally means an actual fact, right? That is the definition. The dictionary, however, if you start to go on dictionaries, you're going to find that they have started to define the word in use with exactly its opposite meaning. It is now actually, there are actually dictionary entries that are saying that literally, in particular context, can mean figuratively. I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. But here's the thing. Language changes. Language changes. We have seen this happen throughout history. Language changes, and that's okay. So the literal meaning of the word literally means literally or figuratively, depending on the context. As I was thinking about this idea, I had this concept of thinking, well, how does this apply in a spiritual context to my life? And I thought, well, how do I define God? Is my definition of God prescriptive or descriptive? How do you define God? That's an actual question. I'm going to grab my little cup of water and see if anybody has an answer. Everybody's afraid. Oh, teacher's calling on us. Infinite beingness. Okay? You don't.
Every descriptive
Absolutely. Yeah, and I actually have in past talks, I've talked about the very nature of language being something that is limiting that which is ineffable and unlimited. And there's absolutely no way that we can accurately describe that thing itself in language. Aren't they all trick questions? Literally. Aren't they all? Yeah. There is no accurate way to describe the ineffable.
I want to say descriptive, but I can't come up with words.
Okay.
It's just an understanding.
An understanding?
That I have.
All right.
So it's like it defies words.
It defies words. It's an understanding. I always like to say, for me, it's a feeling. That's for me. I have deepened into this understanding that when I let language go, God for me is a feeling. God for me is that impulse within that says yes to everything. God is that creative nature, that creative energy that is always flowing forth. This is who and what we are. So in some ways we could say a definition of God might be looking in the mirror and determining how you define yourself. How do you describe yourself? Because those are all attributes of the divine. And that includes everything that you call good. It includes everything that you call bad. It includes everything that you call constructive. It includes everything that you call destructive. For too long, far too many people have feared God. They have feared this notion of, I think, not necessarily how it's come to be expressed in many traditions, which is that thing out there that has dominion, but it's fearing that infinite creative power within ourselves. Marianne Williamson, the famous quote that, the thing we fear, I'm going to butcher the quote, but the thing we fear is ultimately that power within ourselves, that we are infinitely powerful. And so fearing that infinite power is the thing that holds us back from deeper expression, infinite expression. It is not something out there. God has been prescriptive in that sense, to think that it is something out there to be feared. If we are God, then the word is simply descriptive. For it describes the attributes at our core, that feeling. So funny, I finally got to this. It says, we use language to try to describe the ineffable, and it's literally impossible. So really the question today is, how do you describe yourself? What are the things you use to describe yourself? How do you define yourself in this experience and expression of life? Because that is the description, that is the definition of God. At the level of your expression and experience of it. And it is so much more, because when you combine all the aspects of the universal, that infinite wholeness, that unity, that oneness, that we all are immersed in and share, it feels a little overwhelming. To me, sometimes. Ernest Holmes wrote, everyone is universal on the subjective side of life and individual only at the point of conscious perception. Everyone is universal on the subjective side of life and individual only at the point of conscious perception. This is a quote that I use a lot when I'm teaching classes, and there's a little bit to unpack here, because if you don't know how we teach the creative process within the context of this particular faith philosophy, it'll feel a little out there. So I'm going to unpack it a little bit. Everyone is universal. Let's just start with that. Everyone is universal. Now he says, on the subjective side of life. That is, at below the level of awareness, we are infinite beingness. We become individualized only when we have an active thought, the point of conscious perception. We perceive ourselves as something limited, and we become a limited expression of this infinite nature. Let's how I felt when I first came into this philosophy. I was like, what are you talking about? Here's the thing about the limitations of life. It's a context for the experience of life. But the more we lay aside those limitations, the more we understand who and what we are, the more freeing that is. The more we get to experience the expression of God in its fullness. And even then, we think about it and it limits us. So in some ways, the science of mind, the science of spirit, is to let go of our thinking minds and trust and live in faith and trust. We are limited by our own self-perception. The more we expand the limitations of understanding, the more freedom we experience, the more we actively co-create our lives in the way that we would like, because the nature of this infinite divine power is constructive. It is forward-moving. It is to be expressed, never to diminish. So there are ways in which I've limited my life, that I have fought against and I have fought for. And I've always been a little bit on a tightrope of one particular way in which I have lived my life in limitation. And that is, so part of what comes up for me is that this is Pride Month. You know, in Tucson we do the Pride celebration in September because who wants to be out in the park, in 100+ weather? My very first Pride celebration when I first came out in 1991 was on Hippie Hill in June. Yeah, I'm grateful they've moved it. But I came out in 1991, right after I graduated from high school. And I had self-inflicted wounds from the way I experienced the world, not because the world was doing anything to me, but because I had made decisions about myself based on the context of those things out there. So I was coming of age in the 1980s as a gay man. Does anyone remember what was happening in the 1980s in the gay community? I have to tell you that it was devastating, and I still have residual effects of fear from growing up and coming of age during that particular time as a gay man. That predominant story about the gay community, and specifically gay men, now I step back and I look and ask this question: was that prescriptive or descriptive? Is it a description of a time and place, or was it a prescriptive notion that meant this is how I need to live my life? How much do we listen to what is out there? A lot. I heard somebody say it. We listen to it a lot. We find meaning in the things out there, and I think sometimes forget about the meaning of that which is right here. Because when I really step back, and let's face it, years of therapy to move through this experience that I had where I decided to live based on that prescription of life. I didn't need to settle into that prescription of life. I could recognize that it was a descriptive aspect of that time, that place, and move through it. But I had a hard time with that. So how much do we listen to things out there and make them prescriptive? What are things that you can reflect on in your life that you may have made prescriptive? What are things that you can look to out there that you've said, oh, I see that, well, that's the way it must be then? Even faith traditions. I always say, the best work I could do in this world is to eliminate what I do in this world. To help everyone learn and understand that you don't need prescriptions from a faith tradition to live your best life. But if it works for you, please keep showing up on Sundays. Please. Because until I have eliminated my necessity in this world as a spiritual director of sorts, I'm going to keep doing it. And I think we all still need a reminder. What out there have you made prescriptive? I had a conversation with someone last week. And it came up last week, and it was all around the concept of, self-perception and how many people in life, and I see this all around me, people live according to diagnoses. They go to a medical professional or whatever, or even, diagnoses are not just medical, but they go, in this particular, I'm going to use that as the construct. You go to seek a medical opinion. They provide you with a diagnosis. Here's the question. Does that become prescriptive or descriptive? It can be both. It is both. But the minute you decide for it not to be prescriptive in your life, just descriptive of an experience at a particular point of time, things can change. Emma Curtis Hopkins very famously said, if a thought can redden the face, a thought can heal a bone. That's utilizing our thought in a constructive manner for goodness. So I think we should all, and this is, I include myself in this because I still fight with this prescriptive, descriptive idea. I think we should all work more to lessen the prescriptive nature of the things that we are being told and live more in the descriptive nature and say, I get to decide what I want my life to be. So as someone describes themselves according to a diagnosis, that becomes their life. Remember, anything that follows I am is the prescription of your life. That's what it becomes. I am whatever. That becomes the truth of your being. So there was a statement in this conversation that caught my attention, and that was that there was a decision on some level that this was a soul's agreement. And I had to step back and say, okay, and I asked a particular question. I said to this person, well, with whom did you make that agreement? Well, it's a soul's agreement. I made it, but with whom did you make that agreement? Because there's ultimately only one answer. When we make a soul's agreement, we are making an agreement with ourselves because we are that divine power. There is nothing outside the self with which we are making decisions. Although we may look to things outside the self and that may color a decision, ultimately everything is rooted in that self. We make agreements with ourselves, which is why the power of decision is so important. Suffering is not a requirement for life. There are traditions that will say suffering is a part of life. But isn't that what we're looking to move past? I mean, in the Buddhist faith, ultimately, they say human life is suffering. The experience of human life is suffering. And that as we settle ourselves into a deeper understanding of the who of what we are, we alleviate that suffering. Suffering is not a requirement to teach others. It is not a requirement to teach ourselves. It is not a requirement to teach others. My mentor in ministry went through stage 4 throat cancer, and I watched him heal himself through both the use of traditional Western medicine and his mind. Because he was given a diagnosis that said, here's the prescription, you have stage 4 throat cancer, you probably will not live beyond 6 months. That was 11 years ago, and I'll tell you, he is going strong. Because he made a decision that he did not require suffering through a medical diagnosis to learn, nor did he require it to teach his community. He's the spiritual director of a community. I'll tell you, it was a very powerful lesson that he did get to utilize, but it was not required for him, except to the degree that he may have decided on some level that it was required. That can be a soul's agreement, but again, who made that soul's agreement? He made it with himself. Below the level of awareness often is what happens when we make soul's agreements. Here's the great news. What I find to have been more beneficial and teachable is to have seen him move through that with grace and with ease to the other side of it. So, in alignment with this month's theme, taking action in love, Today's call really is to go to that root of realness in our heart and stop looking out there to prescribe our way of life. The realness at the core of our being is ineffable. I utilize many words for it. The one I love the most is love. I love the word love. Lots of vibrant energy. Love, that infinite creative source from which all experience and expression springs forth. Let's truly settle in to describe ourselves at our core in alignment with the realness at our core. Right where we are, God is. Where we stand, God is standing strong. Where we work and play and pray and give and live, there is God. It doesn't require a definition, it requires expression. But if we must describe, let us describe ourselves according to these ideas and prescribe love as the way we lead, and as the way we move forth in life, and as the way we try to voice that which is ineffable. In the book, the big book, Ernest Holmes writes, "Love points the way, the law makes the way possible." We teach love and law. Love is the creative spirit, the law is the way that it unfolds. But they're exactly the same thing. They're two sides of one coin. Love acts through the law to create the expression of our lives. Love acting through law, the activity of love through law, is a way that I also like to describe God. Because that, for me, is what I have found to be real. The realness is love only. This is what we can choose to remember in every moment, who we are. We are love only. We can let go of limitations, because the only limitations we experience are the ones we've prescribed upon ourselves. My fear around being a gay man, a lot of prescription in the 80s. I'd like to think I've moved through that, but it still rears its head once in a while. But I have tools now to know a deeper truth. And so I live in that. Let go of limitations that we prescribe. Let us begin to settle into a new description of the self, rooted in the constructive attributes of the divine, which Troward says are love, light, life, peace, power, beauty, and joy. I like to add wisdom. Here's the deal. You can add any affirmative adjective, and that is God. And it is still limiting. What is the realness in your heart? I often prescribe homework. I'm not going to do that this week, because this week what I really would like you to do is live the question. What resonates? What is the realness in your heart? Live the question. So I guess I am giving you homework. But in some ways, it's not an active thing. It's a contemplative thing. And I think as we live the question, we find deeper answers, because we move beyond language. We move beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond and beyond, until we do truly have an experience of oneness with the infinite and as the infinite. That's what I would like for you to deepen into this week. Namaste. If you would, Anita. I'm going to invite you to relax right where you are and settle into whatever it is that has touched your heart today. And the deepness and understanding that there is only one power, I leave you, we leave you, with these blessings.
May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on.
May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Guide your way on. Thank you, Anita. Tucson New Thought is a community that is supported entirely through your generosity. And so I'd like you to take out whatever it is you're offering the center today, your investment, your gift, your contribution, your tithe. I use those many words. It is a limiting use of language to describe an ineffable idea, which is money is God in action. And as this currency flows through this experience of this thing called Tucson New Thought, I trust and root myself in the knowledge that it is doing great work in this world. And so I honor your commitment to the vision and mission of Tucson New Thought, and I'm grateful for all that you contribute. There are many options for giving: cash, check, cards, all the ways are possible. If you're online and watching us, you can click the link in the description field of the video and participate in this activity of giving as well. So I'm grateful to you for the blessings that you share. Let's read together on the inside of your program the divine givingness statement and root this love of giving in our hearts. Here we go. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that spirit is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of my spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so as William takes the basket around, if you see some of us putting in stones, that is a representation that we are part of the pre-authorized giving program, and our contributions are done through credit card or debit transactions automatically on a regular basis. And I'm grateful to those of you who participate in that as well. A couple of things that are happening here at the center. Next week is the final Sunday of the month. That means it is Potluck Sunday. We encourage you all to join us. If you would like to bring a dish, please bring a dish. If you would not like to bring a dish, please come and eat. But it does require some people bringing dishes, which I know many of us will. But we do need people to consume the food that we bring on a Potluck Sunday. So that is next week. Potluck Sunday, we have our potluck following the celebration every single week. Oh, do you now? Yes.
I'm not going to be here next Sunday.
So no meatballs?
No meatballs. But since I'm not going to be here, we're going to need at least 3 extra people here to make up for what I eat on a Sunday. So please invite somebody else to come.
Please, yes, that would be wonderful. Please invite people to eat William's share. We do offer weekly guided meditation here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. If you would please arrive a few minutes early, because I do close the door at 6, and due to the sacred nature of meditation, we do not allow anybody to enter after 6. But it's a great practice that we're all deeply rooting ourselves in, and I am so grateful for that opportunity. I do want to remind you, mark your calendars for July 16th. It's our full moon release party. We had a practice run, and it was fantastic. I'm so excited about what this is and how it's going to unfold. So Carrie Munn Pierce, Path and Purpose Mentor, is leading this particular experience. There are flyers on the table there. Here's the deal. It's a releasing ceremony. We have a dance party to let go. Let go. And we're going to do this every single month on the full moon. The party begins at 6:30 on the nights of the full moon. All the dates are on the flyer, so please pick up a flyer, register online. The other thing that I would like to remind everyone is that you and all your friends are invited to participate in the Tucson Sacred Journey, which is November 7th through the 11th. It is 4 days of workshops and experiences that are designed to deepen us into a deeper sense of our oneness, to go even deeper. And so 4 days of workshops and experiences. There are postcards on the table over there for that as well. If you're joining us for the first time, I think everyone's been here before. You've never been here before. I feel like we've met though. I feel like we've met, yeah. Well, at least our souls have met at some point. So I would like to let you know, if you fill out an email form, you get 5 recorded prayers created specifically for you by me. Well, not specifically for you, but you know, I did it just for you because I knew you were going to be here today. No, you receive downloadable audio files of prayers, which are designed to deepen you into various aspects of well-being. So that's if you would like to provide us with your email address. You don't automatically get put on a big email list and get sent lots of emails, but you'll get those prayers. You get a couple other little spiritual practices that you can follow, and then you get to make a decision if you'd like to continue to receive our regular emails. So the forms for that are over there. If you have a request for prayer support, you can fill out a prayer request form, put it into the box, the lovely box on the table, and those will be handled by me and by the ecclesiastical core. We have ministers and practitioners here in this center, and I'm so grateful for their service. And I just want to say thank you for joining us here today. Look out for all that we have to offer on our website, and also do follow us, like us on Instagram and Facebook. And I would love for you to, when you arrive on a Sunday, if it feels good to you, to do a check-in on Facebook and let people know that you were here. Right? Yeah. And that goes for everyone online. We'd love for you to share, comment, like, all those things, every aspect of what we offer here. William, if you would, please. Just taking this moment to reflect on the gratitude for what has been collected here. I know that this thing called money, this tangible thing, is something that is ineffable. And although we quantify it, its quality is what is really important. And so I know that this is infused with the quality of love, and it is moving through this time in this place to do great work in the world. I am so grateful for this, and I live in the blessings of this abundance. And I know that each and every one of us does. I know that it is handled and utilized magnificently by the Leadership Council and by the ecclesiastical core of this center. So in this, I trust, know, and allow the goodness to flow. I release, let go, and together we say, and so it is. I want to thank everyone for helping out today. I want to thank you very much for being here. I want to thank me for running the technical aspects of the service today. And I would like to thank Anita for participating, singing, and helping me out with the candles. I want to thank William, Anita, everyone who is providing. Mirta, you brought something today too. Yeah, so there's hospitality. Have some nibbles and coffee and whatever appeals to you following, as we have some social time following the celebration. But I think that's it. So we're going to close. If you'd like to stand up, we're going to close with Put a Little Love in Your Heart. Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry, put a little love in your heart. If you want the world to know we won't let hatred grow, put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see, wait and see. Take a good look around, and if you're feeling down, put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide kindness will be your guide, put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Put a little love in your heart. 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 Have a great week, everyone. We will see you next week. Thank you for being here. Happy Sunday.